Mohammed Umar Farooq biological video. Please make sure to subscribe, like and share. Ask the question for answer and comment about the artwork. You can also answer question to each other while solving the problem. So today we will discuss about the ketosis. The ketosis means the fat which that is oxidation of fat to convert ketones. So that's the process of ketones. Ketone body will be produced is known as the ketosis. So this process is known as ketosis from fat to the oxidation of fat to convert a smaller particle, smaller molecule which that is water soluble as compared to the fat because fat is insoluble in the water. So that's go into the blood to increase the ketone body for use as a energy during fasting or the keto diet. So here is the ketone which that is produced when we will eat fat. So here is the fat which that is here is the fat saturated fat which that is solid at room temperature and contains single bond. So the saturation of hydrogen is too much. On the other hand, we will discuss about the unsaturated fatty acid which that is the oil and that's the room temperature contain liquid. So it is liquid at room temperature. So the unsaturated fatty acid contain omega-6, omega-3 fatty acids. So this double bond property of the unsaturated fatty acid is the less number of hydrogen as compared to the saturated fats. So what is this mean? It is beta oxidation of fatty acid is easy as compared to the saturated fatty acid. So the unsaturated fatty acid is healthy. We think that, but in reality, that is the saturated fats is also not harmful when we eat as a moderation. So here I am drawing the digestive system when we will eat the fat is here. That's go into the stomach and ultimately go into the duodenum. Here is the digestion will occur. So the basically pancreatic lipase and bile acid which combine to give formation is micelles, and these micelles are fat which is the emulsification. So the emulsification mean the amphiphilic droplet will be produced, that's oil droplet or fat droplet, because the temperature of internal body will create the liquid droplet. So here is the liquid droplet go into the anterior side which that is the part of duodenum, and that's enter directly diffusion, and that is converted by the using of apoprotein cholesterol making to produce a chylomicron, and this chylomicron means very low density lipoprotein, and first go into the lymphatic vessel and that's go into the blood vessel, and that's blood vessel is chylomicron very low density lipoprotein which that is contain uh, lipoprotein lipase enzyme used to go into the adipose tissue and other tissue. So the hepatocytes will be used for the beta oxidation is here. On the other hand, during fasting, that do not go into the adipose tissue for storage. So that's important things. And if we will talk about the fasting, so here we will just understanding and talking about just when we will eat food, fat just is known as the ketogenic diet. So here is the blood vessel which that is contain a very low density lipoprotein when we will eat, and these will be converted into the triglycerides, and during fasting that's produce adipose tissue triglycerides and fatty acid, and these fatty acid pick by the very low density lipoprotein chylomicron to go into the liver. So here is the liver, and apoe receptor are present which that is the chylomicron receptor or very low density lipoprotein receptor which they receive, and there are too many receptor for example, and they're stimulated by the thyroid gland, and thyroid gland increase the receptor to endocytosed here is the hepatocyte, and that's endocytosis to produce a spherical shape is known as the endosome, and endosome is attached by the endolysosome to produce to lysis generation, and lysis are breakdown of this particle by the separation of receptor to produce a fatty acid, phospholipids, cholesterol, and triglycerides. But here we will just understand about the fatty acid. So the fatty acid is the long chain and short chain of fatty acid, which that is breakdown, and here is the fatty acid, which that is beta oxidation will be occur into the mitochondria. So when go into the mitochondria, that is known as the basically go into the mitochondria inner membrane by the carnitine shuttle mechanism, and that's go inside and produce acetyl-CoA. So the number of acetyl-CoA is depend on the fatty acid. The number of carbon, which that is n divided by 2 carbon, to produce a acetyl-CoA. That's the number of carbon. Total number of carbon to divided by 2 carbon to produce a number of acetyl-CoA, and that's go into the citric acid cycle and electron transport chain to produce ATP, and carbon dioxide is known as the beta oxidation to produce energy. So important to know that here is the acetyl-CoA will released into the mitochondria and go into the cytosol of the hepatocyte. So important to know. And on the other hand, the other tissue also use the beta oxidation for consuming the energy, just like a glycolysis to produce acetyl-CoA and produce. So that's important. So these two acetyl-CoA will combine together in the presence of thiolase enzyme to release the coenzyme acetyl-CoA release to produce acetyl-CoA, and this acetyl-CoA will further go by the acetyl-CoA provide the carbon, 2 carbon and 1 water molecule absorbed to in the presence of HMG-CoA synthetase enzyme to produce a beta hydroxy beta methyl and glutaryl CoA, and this enzyme is further go and HMG-CoA lyase enzyme to produce acetoacetate. This is the first ketonic body, that is the ketone, and that is known as the ketosis. So here is the further production of the acetone and deoxy butahydroxybutyrate, and the butahydroxybutyrate will be produced and acetone will be produced. So these two molecules will be produced in the presence of, first of all, the beta hydroxybutyrate will be produced by the presence of NADH using to produce NAD plus, and on the other hand the beta hydroxybutyrate dehydrogenase enzyme used to it to produce a d-butahydroxybutyrate. On the other hand, that is the acetone will be produced, and thus 3 ketone body will be produced, and these ketone body will go into the blood vessel, into the circulatory system. So why it's important? Because sugar is not present. So in the absence of sugar, for example, after the after the glycogenolysis occur, and that's after all thing will be occur, and glycogenolysis will cover to increase this process. So important to know that here is the ketone will go into the blood vessel, and that's the acetyl-CoA conversion in the tissue and acetyl-CoA conversion in the brain. So the different organ basically. So here I want to say that also acetyl-CoA will convert into the cholesterol, sterol, heme A, and prenylated protein. So that is also important to produce hormones, steroids, for example estrogen, testosterone, and progesterone. These all hormone is the sex hormone, which that is known as steroid. On the other hand, more and more the cortisol hormone will also produce from the cholesterol. So the cholesterol is also used for the plasma membrane to binding for the more barrier. So that is important for the cholesterol. So the cholesterol is important and produced during the fasting is this mechanism. So remember about that. And these are the present in the hepatocytes and not another. So the liver will create a cholesterol during fasting because dietary cholesterol is not happening. So on the other hand, the picking of the cholesterol from the LDL or high density lipoprotein HDL from the tissue is the another mechanism. So that mechanism we will discuss in the another video. So here is the ketone body will go into the blood vessel, and that's used by the CoA, acetyl CoA, and brain, which that's used acetyl CoA. And that's important to know here is the ketones. What is ketones? It's more that is we are going to summarize it. So the ketones is more best way to produce energy than sugar. Ketones preferred than sugars. It's done during fasting or just keto and diets. That's ketones production stop the obesity, increase growth, and insulin like growth factor insulin sensitivity. So that's all thing important, and that means the ketones will shred our body, and ketone will create the muscle density because the save the protein when these ketones. So next topic we will discuss about the protein conversion into the ketone. That is also important to know. So next video we will discuss about that things. So here all topic is done. I hope you make sense about this ketosis, and that's ketogenic diet, which that create a different mechanism as compared to the sugar.